Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Good morning, Vietnam!
Hello there.
What's happening?
I feel the need for speed. Ow! Warrior, come to play.
Here's Johnny.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Cinemateq live stream. I was gonna try to put an adjective in front of there, and then I just lost all capacity to think. Let's hope that doesn't happen a lot today. Today is February 1st. Happy February, everyone. You're already 1/12 of the way through 2023. Pretty easy, right? We're speed running it this time. And I hope you're having a good week so far. Good week. I have seen a couple of movies already. I just came out of a Korean film called The Point Men, which is, if you've already seen my Letterboxd review, definitely a movie. And I was able to see Babylon again for the first time just last night. And I am not as high on it as I was before, and that's probably because the first time I saw it, I was drunk. Happy New Year's Eve. That's what I was doing on New Year's Eve. But yeah, I was always thinking to myself, hey, maybe Babylon makes it into my top 10 of the year, and I really don't think it does, and I think that has a lot to do with the ending of the film. But that's not what we're here to talk about, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit later. But that's not what we're here to talk about right now. What we're here to talk about right now is the big news that came out just yesterday, I believe, or perhaps this morning, that the DCEU is changing, it's evolving, it's growing, it's doing things. It's being different than it was before, which is always good for the most part. Change is great. So let's say hello to some people in the chat. We got Eli and Dory here. How's it going? And yeah, it's time to talk a little bit more about this. So first of all, shout out to the person in the Discord who alerted us to this. I believe they go by that Pan Nerd in the Discord. So thank you very much for putting this in the news feed. If you want to join the Cinemateq Discord, there is a link in the description box down below for you to do that, as well as, you know, a lot of other links. Great links, fantastic links. I wrote them myself. So the news that we got is that James Gunn is starting a whole new chapter of the DCU. It's called Gods and Monsters, and it's chapter 1, which would mean that at some point in the future, there will likely be a chapter 2 and a chapter 3, perhaps even more. And I imagine the chapter is going to become their sort of way of delineating between certain big events, right? In the way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe uses phases, they are going to use chapters. And since these are adaptations of books, graphic books, but still books, that makes a lot of sense to me. So, the first 5 movies of Gods and Monsters, Chapter 1, is The Authority, Superman, Legacy, Swamp Thing, The Brave and the Bold, which is a Batman thing, and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And this raises a lot of interesting questions, I think. First of all, what order are these going to come out in? Well, Superman Legacy is going to be the first one. That is the only one that has been dated so far, and perhaps that information will be listed here. Yes, it is. So, Superman Legacy will be coming out July 11, 2025. Of course, this is coming from DC, who are absolutely famous for delaying, just delaying and delaying and delaying movies. I bet they wish that they had released Shazam 2 way earlier than they did, because then they wouldn't have to worry about Zachary Levi saying dumb stuff on Twitter. But is it really a DC film release if one of their people didn't do something stupid in the real world? I don't know. It's kind of like a tradition. It's kind of like Thanksgiving, you know? Maybe the food's not the best, but it's really nice to hang out with family who are crazy and stupid. So, we are getting the first of the James Gunn films, July 11th, 2025. And then apparently Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, movies in the works. I imagine all 5 of these films are in the works to some degree. The Brave and the Bold movie will be focused on Bruce and Damian Wayne. For those of you who don't know, Damian Wayne is Bruce Wayne's kid that I believe he had with, not Zatanna, but Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul? Yes, because he was trained by the League of Shadows. Nice. I remember my lore. And it will introduce the DCU's Bat family with a new actor as Batman. So that's big news. I think that we always kind of assumed that that this would be a different Batman, and that the Matt Reeves The Batman series with Robert Pattinson would stay as its own distinct thing. Whether or not that still continues is a question that we can discuss later, though. Will there be more Matt Reeves Batmans now with James Gunn at the helm of things? I don't know. From the sounds of it, they may not want to be confusing about it. So we'll see. What did Shazam say? Let's just say that he expressed opinions about, I think COVID, or perhaps COVID vaccines, which are incorrect. And he's taken some heat for that. Actually, let's confirm that. What did Zachary Levi say? Zachary Levi, controversy. Isn't it amazing that we can just find these things so easily? Comes after years of controversy. Daily Beast. Do I want to click on a Daily Beast link? I don't think so. There we go. So he tweeted an anti-vaccine thing, which, not super popular to say. Is there a quote here of what he actually said? Let's see. Quote. On Sunday, the actor responded to a tweet that read, "Do you agree or not that Pfizer is a real danger to the world?" With his answer, "Hardcore agree." Not a lot of nuance there. This was understood by followers quite reasonably as an anti-vaccination stance given the pharmaceutical company's coronavirus vaccine, not to mention the recent resurgence of faux vaccine symptom videos and subsequent thanks Pfizer memes. Levi later followed up his dubious anti-Pfizer endorsement by tweeting, "Just one example of what I'm referring to," with a link to a Justice Department press release about Pfizer's multi-billion-dollar settlement for marketing fraud back in 2009. Not exactly recent. And in fairness to the Chuck star, this is a drum he's been beating for a while. Earlier this month, he shared a video of himself on a podcast to Instagram, wherein he criticizes the United States' lax or non-existent standards concerning pharmaceutical advertising across the board, which, once again, has nothing to do with the efficacy of a COVID vaccine, or just the kind of work that a pharmaceutical industry is doing when it comes to vaccines. Those are separate issues. He has not specifically made anti-vaccine statements, but he has not, as of this writing, affirmed support for vaccines. So if we were to look at this in the most charitable way possible, he may be looking at this tweet that originally said, "Do you agree or not that Pfizer is a real danger to the world?" He may be thinking about dangers in ways other than vaccine efficacy. I don't know what those would be, but we would be taking the most charitable interpretation of those words and saying that he's not explicitly saying that he's anti-vax, but he is concerned perhaps with pharmaceutical companies. It's not an unfair statement, but given some of his other statements, I am not feeling especially charitable. And then what is this other stuff too? Unfortunately, the Pfizer tweet was the spark that lit the fuse for this particular controversy. As the tweet gained more attention, other Twitter users pointed towards a clip of Levi on Joe Rogan's podcast, praising controversial cultural commentator Jordan Peterson, who is Canadian and a piece of shit. You see, we are capable of producing complete morons in our country. Shortly after, he had been suspended from Twitter for anti-transgender comments regarding Elliot Page. In the clip, Rogan dead names Page and Levi does not correct him. I mean, okay. Y'all just haven't been paying attention to Zachary Levi. He's a hardcore Trump Christian who supports Jordan Peterson, calling him a deep thinker. That's not great. Read one viral tweet alongside the resurfaced clip. A transphobe who appears on the 700 Club, a Trump Republican Christian network that hates minorities and gays for existing. Also not great. This, too, requires some fact-checking. Hardcore Trump Christian would be overstating Levi's public political views. In 2020, he tweeted that he was no fan or supporter of Trump and not a conservative, but shared sympathetic sentiments on Instagram for those who were Donald Trump supporters. He does indeed identify as Christian and gave an interview in 2022 to the Christian Broadcasting Network News. The network founded by Pat Robertson. Ooh, that guy sucks. And virulently homophobic and sexist host of the 700 Club. Among the controversial conservative figures Levi follows on Twitter are Peterson, Barry Weiss, Glenn Greenwald, Jeremy Boring, and Steven Crowder. Ooh, Steven Crowder. That's a piece of shit right there. So this is all, for the most part, it appears to be guilt by association. If you wanted to, once again, this is being the most charitable possible, you could go and find a lot of different left-wing political commentators who follow these exact same people because they need to see when these people make claims so that they can properly respond to them in kind, right? So it's not a great look for him, but this is hardly as bad as we've seen it for perhaps other people like Gina Carano, who was just like, hey, what if the Holocaust didn't happen? And then was promptly kicked off of the Disney show The Mandalorian. So I don't think it really rises to that level, but it's not a great look. It's not a great look. And it also doesn't even come close to being as bad as the shit that Ezra Miller was doing in the lead up to The Flash getting released, or at least when The Flash was supposed to be released last year, but is now being released this year, which is something we will talk about in a little bit. But anyways, that all said, better movie, Possessor or Infinity Pool? I think Possessor is still the better movie, but Infinity Pool is pretty cool. It's a pretty good third film. I thought they already confirmed the Batman Part 2. Yeah, but we're talking about DC. Like, they confirmed a Batgirl movie, and they shot a Batgirl movie, and they edited most of a Batgirl movie, and then they fucking canceled it. So don't take these announcements as meaning anything. Also, did they, and I guess I'll ask you because I don't know for sure, was the Batman Part 2 confirmed before or after James Gunn joined DC? Because that happened fairly recently. So things can change. Things can change. I wish celebrities wouldn't talk so much about their political beliefs. Vaccines are different, obviously, because it should be political, but shouldn't be political. But I personally don't care what a celebrity likes or dislikes. I mean, celebrities are just people, and they're going to have their opinions, and they're going to want to state them out loud. And just because there are celebrities doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to say these things. However, when it comes to certain things like public health matters, then it would be nice if they just left things up to the experts, because, and we've seen this with the case of like Joe Rogan or right-wing commentators, they use their platform to spread misinformation, and when celebrities amplify that or spread their own misinformation, it leads to real-world harm where people can become infected with coronavirus or a number of other ailments because there is so much anti-vaccine sentiment out there, and it's bullshit. It's all just bullshit. But some people think that vaccines are bad. And they are going to say that out loud. And that sucks. Not their free speech, but the fact that they're using that free speech to like actively harm people. So yeah, not good. In any case, we are getting a Batman movie. And that Batman movie is going to be separate from the Matt Reeves Batman movie. And we'll talk a bit more about The Brave and the Bold in a second, about what that means. This is talking here about the TV series, which we don't necessarily care about. This one caught my eye, though. This one I think is kind of fascinating, that we're getting an Authority film. And when I first saw that, I was like, wait, is this kind of like the Marvel Illuminati? But then I remembered that the Authority is not originally a DC property. It's a Wildstorm property, which was a comic book publisher that was purchased by DC. So now technically the Authority is part of DC canon. I'm not sure how they worked it in, but it's at least an IP that they can tap and release as part of the DCEU, which is I guess what we're calling it now. And that's kind of fascinating that they are including a team, not building to the team. They're just starting with a teen movie, kind of like how they tried to do Suicide Squad right off the bat, and then how they tried to redo the Suicide Squad right off the bat. And supposedly the characters in the Authority are like a different type of superhero. Like their powers are really high concept. From the article I was reading earlier, I was talking about how one of the members of the Authority derives their powers from like cities. Like I guess if they're in a really big city, then they're stronger. but if you take them to a rural small town, they get weaker. I don't know how that works, but that's kind of what I mean. So that's going to be interesting. And then Swamp Thing. We're getting a Swamp Thing movie, and that's cool. And I think we're getting this because I think James Gunn is smartly looking at the superhero landscape as it stands right now, and they see that Marvel, at least in their films, is not really approaching horror material all that much. You could maybe look at Doctor Strange 2 as being like one of their closest attempts because of Sam Raimi directing, and he has great horror roots, but there really isn't a horror superhero film yet, at least not one that I can remember. Maybe you could point to Blade, but that's not really part of a cinematic universe. And I guess with the new Blade coming out, we'll see if Marvel tries to go down that road, but I'm thinking they're going to keep things pretty safe. But with James Gunn at the helm of DC, is the Swamp Thing movie R-rated? Does it go really hard? Is it gruesome? Is it gross? Could be. But I'm interested in this one specifically because it does get us into that like weirder supernatural side of the DCU. So if they do end up ever doing like another Constantine film, recasting the Keanu Reeves role and bringing in a new Constantine, that would play into this. And then you start getting into things like Justice League Dark and a lot of other, some of the weirder sides of the DCU, which I really actually hope that they exploit, because that could be a very easy way for them to differentiate themselves from Marvel. And no, Morbius is not the best horror movie. Get out of here, you Morbin time freak. We don't speak those words here. Oh, so James Gunn did confirm that the Batman Part 2 is still happening. Happened a couple of days ago. Good to hear. Thank you for that. And then, yeah, so there's the only really other thing that we need to talk about here. Oh, actually, a reminder that Henry Cavill is no longer Superman. So we will be getting a new Superman actor in 2025. So I guess a lot of, which is not that far away. Like we're only 2.5 years, a little over 2 years from this movie coming out. So this casting is probably going to be happening in the next couple of months, assuming that they go to camera by the end of this year, right? Maybe early next year, but I imagine they're going to want to leave a little bit of time for the CGI work. Hopefully they decide to do that. So yeah, I think that's going to be a big topic of discussion. I know we're all like really on to what is going on with James Bond. We're going to be getting a new James Bond soon, but I think that who's going to be the new Superman, that's going to be something that we find out in the next couple of months, which may end up dominating those types of conversations. Oh yeah, there's stuff outside the DCU is called Elseworlds or something, which the Batman Part 2 falls into. So yes, but also, are they going to keep doing that? And I guess this is a good time to move over to this side of the conversation. Hey, wait, where did that thing go that I had up here listed here? You resize a window and Wikipedia just fucks around. Let me see. Okay, so let's just take a look at what's coming out with DC in the future and how all of this is going to work into one another, okay? So there's four confirmed DC films that are going to be coming out this year, apparently. My God, I didn't realize that there was as many. And I'm also just assuming that this particular Wikipedia article is up to date. It's been a while since I've heard about the Blue Beetle actually coming out, so we shall see. But there's 4 films. We've got Shazam 2 coming out in like a month. And then we have The Flash, which is still apparently coming out, even though with all of the Ezra Miller controversy, there was a lot of boycott talk. There was a lot of should this film still exist? Should it go forward? And I think that basically what they landed on is that The Flash is so pivotal to their plans that it has to go forward no matter what. Plus, I imagine they've spent a lot of money on it already. What is the budget of The Flash? A measly $200 million. Pocket change, am I right? And then we have Blue Beetle coming out in August and Aquaman 2 coming out on Christmas. So we're getting 4 DC films this year, which interestingly means that there will be no DC films in 2024 as scheduled. And in fact, you're going to be talking about almost 18 months in between DC releases, from Aquaman 2 to the new Superman. Will they try to put something out in 2024? I imagine they're not going to try to rush things, although what may end up happening is that since they already have 4 films coming out this year, why not just delay Aquaman 2 again? Why not? Why not take it from Christmas? Because, like, honestly, is Aquaman 2 a Christmas movie? Nah, I don't think so. But I guess they don't have to... This may be one of the last Christmases where they don't have to go up against an Avatar film, so maybe they keep that slot. But maybe Aquaman 2 gets delayed until, like, spring of 2024. Why not? Why not do that? And I think also some of the television shows that they announced will help fill that gap in 2024 as well. But yeah, this is where the DCEU stands right now. We are going to get these 4 films, and then we are going to go into Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. But what is interesting, and Brent, I'm kind of referring back to your Elseworlds thing and all that kind of stuff. The Flash is going to be an interesting flashpoint, if you will. And this is something that happened in the comic books as well. The Flashpoint thing was a universe reset in DC Comics. And the premise here is that Barry Allen travels back in time to prevent his mother's murder, which brings unintended consequences to his timeline. I'm not treating that as a spoiler. I'm sorry if you do, because, you know, it's been in the comic books for years and it was a pretty big comic book moment. So basically, this can be their way of changing and altering things. You need someone new to play Superman? Guess what? It's because the timeline has changed, and that is likely going to be the case. This will also probably offer them an opportunity to recast Wonder Woman. One of the television series that they announced, I can't remember which one, I think it's Paradise Lost, will be taking place on Themyscira. So it's going to be kind of like a political-ish type show from what I've heard. Maybe like Game of Thrones, but on Themyscira. Who knows? And so that could lead to a recasting of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. And I mean, you know, maybe they bring back Ben Affleck, maybe they don't. But I have a feeling that they're going to go the route of younger, cheaper actors and actresses to get this new chapter going. I guess it does kind of mean that Ezra Miller has to stay the same because he will be the constant in it. So out of all of the people who were originally part of the Justice League, the only one who might not end up getting recast is Ezra Miller, which is strange. So yeah, it's strange. Oh, people are talking about stuff in the chat. Ron Livingston is playing his father. That's Peter from Office Space. Nice. Wait. Ron Livingston is playing whose father? The Flash's father? That's cool. Oh yeah, Michael Keaton's going to be in it too. So this is also part of the thing that we need to talk about here with the example for The Flash that Michael Keaton is going to be in it, and Michael Keaton will be playing his version of Batman, or at least a version of Batman who looks like Michael Keaton. And so this Flashpoint could very well act like a Crisis on Infinite Earths, or I assume how Marvel is going to be using Secret Wars in the not too distant future, where they are going to be able to bring a number of different continuities together and sort of force them and mangle them into one. So with the way that DC is progressing, this, for example, could end or collapse the entire Arrow television series and franchise that's on the CW, and either bring certain select parts of it into the DCU, or just end it completely and have there only be this DCU and not have as many ancillary projects out there going on at the same time. That could happen. Does that mean that, you know, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker or Robert Pattinson's Batman ends up in the mainline universe at some point in the future? Maybe. There are a number of different ways that they could eventually get there. Although I imagine that just based off of how they are setting up this Gods and Monsters first chapter, something as big as a Crisis on Infinite Earths is going to be a little bit further down the line. Excuse me. What else are people saying? I just hope James Gunn doesn't get ahead of himself. WB seems to be putting all their faith into him, and if these movies aren't exceptional, we may not have a DCU. I think there's always going to be a DCU, but I think you're right as well in saying that like they can't really afford more course corrections. They can't really afford to have someone else come in to have to clean up his mess as well. I think James Gunn, for the most part, is a bit of a safer option when you compare him to someone like Zack Snyder, who even before he got into the DCU, before he even took over Man of Steel and directed Man of Steel, his track record for quality was already spotty at best. James Gunn, I think, has built up a bit more capital, especially with fans, for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 being as good as they are. The Suicide Squad was certainly a step up over the original Suicide Squad, but then again, how could it not be? And I think he's a bit of a safer option. We also have to remember too that like it's not just James Gunn's DCU. I think he is co-doing this with like a business type, and I imagine that business type is going to be sort of like reining in some of James Gunn's more eccentric qualities as well. So I would imagine that these are going to be perhaps a little bit different, a little bit more risque than Marvel Pictures as a way of differentiating themselves. But to think that they're going to be anything other than just like, movies by committee that are meant to make $2 billion and appeal to the most people possible, like they're going to be those as well. So it's going to be an interesting balancing act, but I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine is what I'm saying. Just going to say this, comic book superhero films are not cinema. They already get a lot of coverage, and I would hate if your channel gave in to the MCU DCU talk. See, they're movies. They are movies. I understand when people say that they are not cinema. I understand when Martin Scorsese says, I was going to switch back here. We're not reading anything. I understand when Martin Scorsese says that the superhero films, Marvel films, are like roller coaster rides. I understand what he's saying, but from a functional standpoint, they are movies. They are cinema. They are that thing. They take up a lot of space. They take up a lot of time. They take up a lot of energy in their coverage, but they are also currently cultural touchstones. They are the most important films that are released every single year. And I'm not just going to ignore that fact because I don't necessarily like them. And since we are starting what is essentially a new chapter, pardon the pun, for DC, there is the possibility that they get better. And the thing that's going to make Marvel make better movies is having a direct competitor. And if that is the role that DC is going to play, then good. The only thing, the thing that we need the most is for these films to improve. That's it. Right? But like, I don't want to get into these kind of conversations where it's like, well, they're not really cinema. They are. They absolutely are. Of course they are. But they don't have to take up all of our conversation. The reason we're talking about it today is because this was announced this morning. And it just so happened to do that. If this was announced 2 days ago, I might not even be talking about it. Or if I did, I wouldn't be talking about it as in depth or with as much coverage. But, it's still a big deal. It is. But this is never going to be a channel that becomes solely or primarily concerned with comic book movies, because that is not where my interests lie. So don't worry about that. Gal Gadot is confirmed for Fast X, so I assume she's been recast. Her character died in Fast and the Furious 6. So they're just doing a Han. They're just pulling a Han again, aren't they? Cool. Yeah, great. Good. I mean, they're basically superhero films already, so why wouldn't they start adopting superhero logic? That makes sense. Superhero movies are great for theaters too. That's true. I mean, they're good for the theater's bottom line. Whether or not they're good for the theater experiences, I don't know. But yeah, movie theaters make a lot of money off of them. I watched Wakanda Forever today. It definitely wasn't bad. The new Ant-Man is going to totally make or break my interest in Marvel. I find myself saying that every new Marvel film, and no matter what, I just keep getting pulled back in. Maybe they're really good at making trailers. Who's to say? Well, let's see. What was I going to be talking about here? Oh yeah. So how this all kind of fits together, right? So we were just talking about the DC films that are going to be coming up and how that bridge is going to be crossed. Actually, no, we haven't been talking about how the bridge is going to be crossed. So why don't we turn to our good friends at Polygon, who are not actually friends of ours. They're just a website that we can read information from. And talk about what's going on here. So it seems like the DCU TV shows are going to be what bridges this gap between Aquaman 2 and the new Superman. And it seems like the first one out of the gate is this thing called Creature Commandos, which is just going to be another Suicide Squad, but with creatures, you see. Creature Commandos. So to read this, Gunn is writer for the series, already pegged to 7 episodes. In it, Amanda Waller, from the Suicide Squad, forms another super team out of monstrous prisoners. So I guess she decided she needed more squads. And these squads don't always have to go on suicide missions. Kind of weird. But since we already know that Gunn is the writer for the series, the suggestion is that this is going to be the first one out of the gate. So yeah, I guess the shark dude, who is called Shark King, I believe. Let's get His Royal Highness's name right. So yeah, this is going to be the first one, and then apparently we're also getting a series dedicated to Amanda Waller. So Viola Davis is just going to be rolling around in DC money. DC Studios says the show will feature Team Peacemaker and is written by Watchmen's Crystal Henry and Supernatural's Jeremy Carver. I think even fans of Supernatural kind of see, that a Supernatural writer is involved and kind of say to themselves, oh, not all of that show is good. I am one of them. And then I guess we're getting a Booster Gold TV series, a Lanterns TV series, and a Paradise Lost TV series. But it seems like Creature Commandos and Waller are coming first. And just quickly, let's see, Control F, Peacemaker. So season 2, we don't know. That's all TBA. So I guess James Gunn is going to be showrunning Peacemaker season 2 and Creature Commandos and potentially doing the Amanda Waller series while also getting Superman Legacy prepped. Interesting. But yeah, in my mind, it makes the most sense for these TV shows to come out in 2024 and be that bridge that gets us to Superman Legacy. What will be interesting to see if this all goes off without a hitch, which I mean, like, some people have already properly addressed this, but James Gunn has got a full plate right now, so there's nothing to say that he absolutely will be able to pull this off. What will be kind of interesting, though, is with the changes, how do, say, films like Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 evolve? Aquaman 2, I think, being one that could perhaps change more. And I say that because there is going to be some need to kind of streamline this, right? So when they envisioned using Flashpoint in the Flash to kind of reset things or to change things, they didn't know at that point in time that James Gunn would be taking over and that James Gunn would be forming this new sort of direction for the DCU. But now we do have that. And we know that if they're going to be, using the Marvel method of making films, that they go back and they re-edit stuff and they reshoot stuff and they redo scenes with different CGI and all this different stuff. And it's kind of incredible. It's bad, but it's an incredible way of making films. It's a bad way, but it's incredible. Because you think that they would want to, minimize their budgets, but I guess they are not about that. They just love spending money. So does James Gunn go back and kind of fiddle and tinker with Aquaman 2? It's the one that's the furthest one out, so it's the one that they'd be able to tinker with the most. Pretty sure Shazam 2 is not getting any major changes. And do they do something like perhaps have an after credits scene that has the new Superman in it? Or do they do something else? We've already seen that there's supposed to be a Supergirl movie. Maybe she shows up. Who knows? So I am going to be interested to see how they sort of deal with this, especially since it seems like, I think the Flash becomes like infinitely more interesting to me now, even though it does have Ezra Miller in it, which is not great. Because like how do you reset the world in a way that makes sense, right? Like how do you reset things so that Henry Cavill's Superman no longer exists, but Aquaman 2 is still around? Or excuse me, not Aquaman 2, but Jason Momoa's Aquaman is still around. Do they try to explain that? Do they try to pull off some hijinks? You know, what goes on there? And what do we eventually end up getting? And so like, you know, they recast Henry Cavill. Does that mean that, you know, when new Superman shows up, potentially maybe in a post-credit sequence for Aquaman 2, does James Gunn, does Jason Momoa just look at him and go, oh, it's you, Superman? And like, you know, they're already old buddies because the universe has already changed. Or is he someone new? And then if so, how does that play into what has already been stated as as what Superman Legacy is supposed to be about, which is Superman already being on Earth, and you know he reconciles his quoting here, his extraterrestrial origins with his human family and upbringing. So how does that all work together? It kind of sounds like you need an established Superman to do that. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be weird. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of stuff. I'm wondering if they are going to snub Viola Davis for Amanda Waller too. I don't think so. I think that they probably end up sticking with her because she can kind of act like that anchor. She can be kind of the M that went between Pierce Brosnan and into Daniel Craig's run as James Bond, in the same way that they had the same guy play Q for like literal decades. Like the same guy played Q in James Bond for I don't know how many films, 18, 20, basically did it from the first one until he died. So I think that they may be looking at Amanda Waller in that way, or at least they could, and I kind of hope they do, because I don't really want other people to play Amanda Waller. I think Viola Davis does a pretty good job of it. So as long as she wants to continue in that role, then I say good. I say do it. Yeah, it does sound like James Gunn is going to be busy. Kevin Feige built the MCU in a cave with a box of scraps. I mean, how much did the first Iron Man cost? Let's I'm not going to create a Wikipedia account. What are you talking about? Iron Man 2008 film. I bet it was okay. The budget of that was $140 million, so not exactly a box of scraps. And actually, I think if you adjust that for inflation, which is substantial these days, $140 million in 2008 dollars. Hold on a second. Calculator. Have they actually been spending just less money on these films? Which is an insane thing to say because they're spending like $200 million, but have they? Actually, no, I need to be using an inflation calculator from the United States. They were scraps of gold. Still scraps, but scraps of gold. Okay. In 2008... I purchased an item for $140 million. Hold on. Am I even doing the right number of zeros here? 140, 123, 123. That should be 140 million. Calculate. So if they were to make Iron Man today, it would have cost $190 million. And they're now producing films for about $200 million. And the fees that the actors are taking in some of these roles only increase movie after movie. So yeah, they are just trying to make these films like cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, which may explain why a lot of them look like shit. Is Amber Heard going to be in Aquaman 2? I don't think so. Was she like edited out of it or something, or did they recast her? I'm not actually sure, but I think that was one thing that they tried to do. Wait, Lost Kingdom, is that the new one? Yeah. A measly $205. She is in Aquaman 2, but I wonder if she's going to be like in Aquaman 2 in the same way that what's his name, the cannibal. Oh my god, is it good that I can't remember his name? The dude from Call Me by Your Name, who's not Timothée Chalamet. You know the guy. Army Hammer. Yeah. The way that Army Hammer's role was reduced in the second Poirot film, Death on the Nile. Like, he was in that film, but you can tell they definitely cut down on him as much as possible. He did play a fairly significant role in the narrative, so there's only so much they could do, but they definitely tried to bring down his influence as much as possible. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Amber Heard was not as present in this film. Although I guess it depends. Like if she and Jason Momoa are like going off on an adventure together, that's going to be kind of hard. It's going to be kind of hard to cut down on her presence in the film. So who do we got? People joining the live stream. What's up? We got Ella here. Nocturno, good to see you. Josephine's here. What's up? She's an Aquaman too. Yeah. Junk's here. What's going on, dude? Hey TJ, first time watches since last. The Boy Who Wanted to Be a Bear. Cool. Haven't seen it. Allegro Non Tropo. The Tale of the Fox. Lilies of the Field. And Top Secret. Tell me about this movie from 1937, Tale of the Fox. I just rewatched, for those of you who missed the first part, I rewatched Babylon last night in theaters. And the one thing that film definitely makes you is nostalgic for many different parts or times in cinema history. It's pretty great. Shia LaBeouf. Is Shia LaBeouf also a cannibal? I hope not. I mean, he's a piece of shit, but God, why are celebrities terrible? Just why? Snake scene in Babylon. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. I mean, they're still putting out The Flash, so I wouldn't be surprised if she still had a big part in the movie. Yeah, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I think that they are... they kind of have to put The Flash out because it seems like it really is the linchpin for their plans moving forward. Like, I don't think the films that come after, which I think are going to be Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2, I don't think that they would make sense if you don't do the Flash movie. So I think they're either thinking to themselves, okay, if we get rid of the Flash, then we either have to like spend a hell of a lot of money rewriting and reshooting and redoing all of the visual effects for two other whole ass movies, which have already cost us $200 million already each to make, or do we just do the best we can with Ezra Miller, put him through like the washing machine as best as we can, get him squeaky clean, get him into rehab, get him to, do as much community service as we need him to do, eat whatever bad publicity we get from it, and then just move on, and then just try to move on from it. Because like in the end, taking a bit of a reputation hit and cleaning up Ezra Miller is going to be way fucking cheaper than having to redo a lot of stuff for Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2, which is unfortunate and it sucks. And I don't think that people who take people hostage should be allowed to have really big roles in the biggest movies of the year. That seems like something that shouldn't happen to me. But, these movies are made by giant multi-billion-dollar corporations, and they're always going to do what's best for the bottom line. In the 300s on One Piece, now the library has issues of the manga. Nice. That's a lot. 300 issues? Good lord, that's a lot. What's wrong with Amber Heard? There's just a lot of negative shit attached to her now because of the Johnny Depp trial. I didn't really follow it, and I don't really know what the fallout of it was, other than like a lot of people on Twitter on TikTok declaring that, justice for Johnny Depp and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I just think a lot of people don't like her anymore, honestly. And I think a lot of that had to do with the trial and what came out about her in that, which I honestly don't know much about, so maybe I should stop talking about it. TJ, you're planning to watch Knock at the Cabin by M. Night Shyamalan. I am planning on seeing it. I don't know if it will be this weekend, because there's a lot of stuff in theaters that I want to catch. I'm going to be seeing Living sometime soon. I still want to see The Wandering Earth Part 2. But I was planning on going to see it this afternoon. I kind of played hooky this afternoon. Don't tell my boss, which is me. But don't tell me that I play hooky today. But even like the 1 o'clock screening on a on a Wednesday for The Wandering Earth was like almost full at my local theater. So yeah, I'll be going to see it soon, maybe this weekend, but I really want to see it in like a bit of a, with just a theater with less people, you know, that's it. Just a theater with less people. And what else? I'm going to see Living because that's Oscar nominated. What else is coming out this weekend that is specifically for TJ? At TIFF, Godland is coming out this week. When You Finish Saving the World is out right now. I'd like to see that. And Close is coming out on Friday as well. So in terms of the Oscars, Living and Close are both going to be out. So I need to see those. And then hopefully When You Finish Saving the World gets held over for next week. That would be great if that happened. Although, it is being held over. Good. And yeah, there's going to be other stuff getting released as well. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think, is coming back into theaters. Godland is playing at TIFF. I want to see that. It looks like it's totally my thing. Yeah, it's once again, it's a great time for Cinemea, for cinema. Great time for it. No, I meant 300s as TV episodes of One Piece. Oh, gotcha. Babylon is the best movie of this awards season. I don't know. After seeing Babylon again, I think I'm back to basically saying that Everything Everywhere All at Once is my number one pick for awards season, and EO is still my favorite film of the year, although I should probably rewatch that one too. But Babylon, the ending of Babylon doesn't work for me as well as it did when I forgot what most of the ending was because I was drunk at the time. That Babylon is great when you've been drinking too much. But I will say I did have a lot of fun with Babylon last night. I just personally don't kind of like how the film ended, and I can talk about that in a little bit if y'all want to get into that. Can we talk about Babylon with spoilers? I mean, I don't think anyone in here is going to be upset about spoilers. It's not really a movie that I think spoilers would affect, although maybe you guys let me know in the chat if that's the case. The real question is, are you seeing 80 for Brady? Absolutely fucking not. Not even in like a curious type way. Like when that new Julia Roberts, George Clooney rom-com came out a few months ago, I was like, I've got nothing to do. Maybe I'll go see that. And then I did. And then but then like looking at 80 for Brady, like that, I'm not even going to do it with that. Like I just won't. I don't care. Tom Brady, like I fucking hate Tom Brady. Tom Brady sucks. Yeah, he's the greatest quarterback who ever lived, but like he kind of like kisses his kids on the mouth, and that's kind of weird. He also like made his wife basically put aside her entire professional life for his career so that she could raise their children, and then it was time for him to retire so that she could start going back to work. He was like, you know what? I think I'm actually going to play one more season of football, and now they're getting a divorce. So kind of fuck Tom Brady, you know? Let's see. I'm waiting for Cineplex wide release of the Titanic in 4K 3D on February 10th. Oh, man, that's... You know, I might actually go to that. I don't want to see it in 3D, though. I do not want to see Titanic in 3D. At all. I never want to see Titanic in 3D. I never... Like, a film that was not released in 3D initially, I don't want to see it in 3D. Ever. Fuck that. No way. Don't want to do it. But I mean, yeah, go watch it if you want to see it. But if I go to see it, I will be seeing it not in 3D if they allow me to do that. Favorite martial arts film? I was about to say Mortal Kombat, but I couldn't say that with a straight face. You know, I have gone back and revisited Miami Connection a couple of times. So I'll say Miami Connection for right now, even though it's not a good movie. I just have a lot of fun watching it. Your thoughts on Zhang Mi's Full River Red earns $465 million in 8 days in China. That is a lot of money. What is the currency in China? Is it a Wulan? Is it a Wulan? I don't actually know. What's up with this movie? Is a historical suspense comedy film. That's a lot of genres. The film features co-male leads Shen Ten and Jackson Yi. It also stars Sheng Yi, Lee Jae-in and Wang Jiayi and Yu Yunpin. It was released in China on January 22nd, the same day as Chinese New Year. It was one of those Chinese New Year films. The plot. The film chronicles a mystery case set in the beginning of the Southern Song Dynasty. It is set 4 years after Yi Fei's death. I imagine that's a famous historical figure. A mysterious murder occurs at Qin Yi's residence when he meets delegates from the rival Jin Dynasty. A soldier and a commander become entangled in a large conspiracy as one of the Jin envoys perishes, and a confidential letter is reported missing. Righteous vigilantes are responsible for the incident and want to kill a suspected traitor. Where's the comedy in that? Where are the laughs? I am not seeing laughs in that. I imagine this is one that's going to end up coming to America, or excuse me, North America, though, eh? Like, if it's performing that well, it's likely going to make it to North America. Although it's interesting that it didn't get a simultaneous release like The Wandering Earth Part 2 did. Or maybe it did. Am I wrong? Is this playing in Canada? By which, of course, I mean, is it playing at Cineplex, the only place that has movies in Canada, if you believe what Cineplex says about that. The Full River Red? Yeah, no, they're not showing it. So, yeah, that's weird. I guess maybe they didn't know it was going to be as big as it was, although maybe it was known that that was going to be a thing. Who can say? Brent saying Rumble in the Bronx is the best martial arts film. Nice. So Josephine doesn't want to hear any spoilers about Babylon, so I can talk about Babylon, but I'm not going to spoil it. And no spoilers in the chat, s'il vous plaît. The ending montage or the ending of the characters? Oh, what I didn't like about Babylon? It was the ending montage, I think, more than anything. But it's not so much that the montage was there, but it's what the montage represents. Very broadly, Babylon, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I don't know who to credit with saying this, but I'll say it anyways. That Babylon is a film that loves movies and hates Hollywood, and I kind of didn't like how, with the closing moments of the film, that's the way that they tried to portray, or at least get across, this idea that cinema is good or worth it, or that the sacrifices that are made by the people who made those films, especially in like the 20s and early 30s, is okay, considering what came after and what legacy was built. And I think I would have liked the film a lot better if it stayed angry, because I think you can kind of feel like a simmering anger at Hollywood throughout the entirety of Babylon. And I wish that the film didn't it kind of felt like a cop-out the way that they ended the film. So, yeah, that's my, as non-spoilery as I can get, take on the ending of Babylon. LMO, I live in New England, so one of my theaters is playing 80 for Brady at a discounted price. Still will not watch it. Also, yes, fuck Tom Brady. Seriously, like, someone could offer me free tickets to 80 for Brady, and I would burn them. If those tickets are on your phone, guess what? Your phone's getting torched. Not doing it. Chinese currency is the yuan. Thank you. Or the yan? The yuan? Okay. Also, I saw Megan and was not as into it as everyone else seems to be. I was like mostly okay with Megan. I wasn't super over the moon with it. But I think a lot of people were able to get more out of it because of its camp, but that didn't really do a lot for me, because I think that the camp it wasn't as campy as a film needs to be if the camp is the thing that's supposed to save the film. You know what I mean? Yeah, at least for me anyways. Top of the season as of today, Apollo 10.5, Banshees, Batman, Bones and All, Everything Everywhere, Fablemans, Marcel the Shell, Nope, RRR, Pinocchio, Tar, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking. A lot of good movies there. A lot of good movies for sure. Have you heard of the Bollywood blockbuster movie Pathan that is breaking all kinds of records in India right now? I think it's actually playing in North America, because I think I had the option of seeing it today. But since But since I don't know like what I don't know anything about Indian cinema. So when I see just like the random ones playing at the theater near me, I'm like, is this good? But yeah, I think it's okay. Actually, I lied. I did hear about this one a few days ago because Shah Rukh Khan's in it. He's coming back. And I guess it's a high octane spy thriller starring Shah Rukh Khan, who, for those of you who don't know, is like one of the biggest Indian film stars ever. Like, just one of the guys, one of the big ones. The action spectacle will be released in Hindi, Tamil, and Telugu. Celebrate Pathan with only at the big screen near you. Okay, I mean, that was just an ad. So, I mean, I guess I kind of heard of it, but I don't know what's going on with it. Pathan made 73 million USD in 5 days in North America or in India. And is that a lot? I have no frame of reference for how much money a Bollywood filmmaking is like good. Making a t-shirt for a contest for fun. I will post the final product in Discord. Cool. TJ, your thoughts on Emma Segelman and Rachel Senow teaming up again for a new movie called Bottoms, premiering at South by Southwest in March? I had heard about Bottoms before, and I'm not exactly sure where. It might have just been like a news report coming out. But Emma Segelman is the director of, Canadian director of Shiva Baby, right? Yes, I think so. Yes, yeah. So she did Shiva Baby, which is great. Great movie. Go watch Shiva Baby if you haven't. But yeah, I'm super, super interested in this movie. Quick plot synopsis for those of you who may not know. Their new movie, Bottoms, is about 2 high school senior girls who set up a fight club to hook up with cheerleaders before graduation. I do remember saying those words before, so yeah, pretty fantastic. I am 100% into this. I think it's going to be great. Rachel Senow is quickly becoming like just one of those actresses that you want to see everything that she's in, kind of like Emma Mackey, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's a lot of fun. Still speaking of Babylon here, or going back to Babylon, the montage was before the Tony Maguire scene. I think the montage coming at the time that it does in the film is very purposeful. Like, it has to happen where it does, because you need to kind of temporally get beyond. Like, that montage only works because it's able to draw on how Hollywood recycles trauma for its benefit, and for also the benefit of like whitewashing and minimizing the contributions of BIPOC individuals, which I think is something that Babylon flirts with, and I think even implicitly engages with, and I think is one of the reasons why this film is very much about hating Hollywood but loving cinema. And thank you, Nocturo, for saying that. I think Chazelle himself said that about his own film. So I mean, you gotta trust the director. But thank you for letting us know. Yeah. Also, one weird thing about going back and rewatching Babylon again, when I saw it the first time and I was a little fucked up, that sequence seemed way longer, which is weird because everything's supposed to go faster when you're a little drunk. But yeah, that sequence seemed way longer and way more impressive when I was a little drunk on New Year's watching it. And so going back and watching it again, like, it was still fucked up and weird, but I almost felt like that sequence should have gone on for longer. You know, like they go down a few levels and you see some weird shit, no doubt, but like, I want it to be more. I wanted to go down further into the depths of that place, you know? I really did. Also, thank you, Paul, for saying thank you for the stream. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching. Yeah. So I think there were maybe some missed opportunities with Babylon, or at least things that I may have done differently. But then again, I definitely would never have made that film or thought to have made it. And I will also say that, like, Babylon for sure has one of my favorite scenes of the year in it. For those of you who have seen it, it's the one where Margot Robbie's character must learn to work on a sound set for the first time, which is just an incredible scene. And I think that the film up to the end of that scene, like the very first party, going through the shoot day on set the next day, and then a couple of other sequences happen, and then you get to the sound evolution or whatever. That is some, like, if the movie was just that somehow, best movie of the year. And especially the day on set, incredible. absolutely incredible stuff. It's just when you get into the back end of the film, I think the film runs into some issues. I think it's a film that maybe has 4 or 5 different ways that it could have ended the film, or at least places it could have ended the film. And I kind of think that maybe I got a little exasperated with the film by the end of it. Like it's a 3 hour and 9 minute film, you know? And so I didn't want anything to be cut from the film until we get to the kind of last 20 minutes. And at that point, I do wish that they could have been a bit more, a bit more efficient with how they cut the film. 80 for Brady looks like to be for old sports fanatics, which I'm not at all. Oh yeah, no. Honestly, I think 80 for Brady, the only benefit that it may give us as an audience is that it might actually bring boomers back to the movie theaters. There was a big, a lot of stuff being said when films like that Ridley Scott film, The Last Duel, came out, and how, you know, normally you can expect a larger audience for that kind of film because older people would come out for it. But The Last Duel, when it came out during COVID, it came out during the pandemic, and a lot of older people were not comfortable going back to the theater yet because they don't want to risk getting COVID and dying, which is fair. So maybe this is like a kind of attempt, like a studio's attempt to do kind of a lower budget film, because I think The Last Duel cost $100 million, and I don't think anyone wants to spend $100 million on a film that they don't know an audience is going to come out for. And they're gonna use 80 for Brady to see if that boomer crowd is ready to come back to the theaters, especially during a time of the year when theaters aren't that congested. Like, I think it comes out before the Super Bowl happens, so I think it's actually, is it coming out tomorrow or like on Friday? Is that when 80 for Brady is coming out? Box Office Mojo calendar. Oh yeah, Groundhog Day is tomorrow as well, and I guess it's going to be in some theaters. So if you want to see Groundhog Day in theater, keep a lookout. Yeah, 80 for Brady is coming out wide on Friday. Who will win? 80 for Brady, Knock at the Cabin, or just Avatar again? It will be a duel to the death, I'm sure. Actually, yeah, what's the other film opening wide? The Amazing Maurice? Wait, there's an animated film with Hugh Laurie and Emilia Clarke coming out? What the hell? That's weird. Yeah, that's super weird. I will be going to see Knock at the Cabin if I have a choice between those 3. But also they list Godland here, and I definitely want to see that more than anything else on the list. But yeah, 80 for Brady honestly just might be a way for Hollywood to determine if old people are willing to come back to theaters yet. Because it is meant to appeal to, I think, both sides of it, right? Like, the older men will be like, "Hey, it's Tom Brady. I really respect that guy. He's a pretty good football player." And then all of the people, like all of the women who are older, are going to look at, you know, a film that has Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda and Rita Moreno and Sally Field, and say, "Hey, this is a movie that's catering to me personally." And so, you know, if we want to be like super gender specific about this, you can imagine a lot of, wives who are in their elder years going up to their husbands saying, "Hey, why don't we go out to the movies? We can see this movie that is for both me and you, and is not just like, you know, whatever random film that we watch on FX on a Wednesday night. Like, this is for both of us. It's for the ladies and the guys." And it only cost $28 million to make. So it's a pretty low investment to try to figure out if people are ready to come back to theaters, old people specifically. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that they're doing this. From a business case standpoint, it's an interesting release, but I still do not want to see it. Still crazy to me that Rachel Senow isn't Jewish? She's not? What? Shiva Baby is on my watch list. Yo, watch that movie. You will get so much anxiety from that movie. It's great. It's great. I'm excited for Lesbian High School Fight Club, aka Bottoms. Hell yeah. Anyone else going to rewatch Groundhog Day tomorrow? I will not be doing that, unfortunately. Babylon's end sequence was as if Chazelle was Jacob Calva's character, begging us to watch his meta narrative and us at the audience entertain him for a bit and then walk away like Nelly broke. When you say Nelly broke, did you mean Nelly Leroy? Yeah, I think yeah. I think Chazelle is like making the case that cinema is worth it, because I think he kind of has to. I think maybe in his mind it would be too callous for him to say, hey, thanks for watching my 3-hour movie. By the way, the industry that allowed this movie to happen and to take place sucks, and I hate it. Like I imagine that was sort of a conceit that he either himself had to make or he was told that he would have to make. I don't know either way. It's just how I feel like it probably would happen. And that was kind of the ending that they ended up having to do, which, yeah, I'm not a big fan of personally. Ever seen Troy? Thoughts on it? It's been a long time, and I don't really think that I have good opinions on it. I have no want to rewatch it, so take that for what you will. What is my... Oh, wait. Women Talking also ended at the wrong time. It should have ended with the wide shot of the caravan of the women leaving. Perfectly end, but cutting to the baby after that was a bit cheesy. Oh, man, maybe I should rewatch Women Talking, because I don't really remember the ending. It's the conversations that I remember, not how the film actually ends. Love or hate Marvel movies like 80 for Brady. They really are good for local theater revenue. Yeah, I get that. Favorite sports movies? Ooh. Favorite sports movies. That's kind of tough, because like one of my favorites traditionally has been Major League, which in hindsight is kind of problematic for a couple of different reasons. You know what? I'm going to say Basketball, the Trey Parker, Matt Stone film from the creators of South Park. It's not a real sport, but it's still a great sports movie. So I'll say that. Which I'm sure in its own way is problematic, but hey. TJ, I saw You People on Netflix. It was terrible. Yeah, I heard it wasn't great. I no longer have Netflix. Actually, yeah, here's a bit of personal information for all of you. I recently just got rid of all of my streaming services. Fuck them. Fuck all of them. I don't like them anymore. So I'm done. Gonna be getting a lot of stuff from the library moving forward. Sadly, and just going to the theater a lot too, which I was already doing, but now I have a little bit more money for tickets. The Amazing Maurice was good. You've seen it? How did you already see it? It's coming out like in a couple of days. Although I know, Dora, you get to see like so many new movies in New York. I'm seeing Knock at the Cabin this weekend too, but I'm reminding myself to keep the bar low because M. Night Shyamalan has not impressed me recently whatsoever. Yeah. He always comes up with these interesting concepts, but man, sometimes the execution is not great. Knock at the Cabin looks funny. If I had to choose, I'd see that over 80 for Brady. Oh, 100%. Every single time. Even after I see Knock at the Cabin like 10 times, and I will never watch that movie 10 times unless it turns out to be like one of the best movies ever, I still would not watch 80 for Brady. Like 10 times watching Knock at the Cabin, and then you put those two movies in front of me, we're watching Knock at the Cabin again. I probably shouldn't say that. That's a bit too hyperbolic. I probably would at some point be like, you know what? Let's do something different. Vegas Vacation is on TV right now. Sick. My favorite movie I have seen recently was Blue Ruin, free on Tubi TV. Yeah, Blue Ruin is super good. It's so good. It's from the directors who did Green Room. It's a bit more of a well-known film. And it's I think it's one of those great films that especially looks at crime and murder and revenge because it's integral to the story and the characters that are built in the film that murder is hard, that killing a person is hard, right? And that a lot of people, when they set out on these notions of revenge or that they must get vengeance on someone, like just these normal everyday people, they don't know how to kill people. And so they kind of wing it. They do the best they can. Maybe they sneak up on someone and bash them in the back of the head and try to strangle them to death or whatever. But then, it takes a lot of strength to do those things. And Blue Ruin is one of those films where it forces its main character to realize that killing people is hard. Like, not emotionally hard, but like physically difficult, especially if you don't have access to a gun. And I think it's a fascinating film for that reason, because it's not something you often see. You know, a lot of movies tend to give their, especially in a vengeance type film, they tend to give their protagonists, you know, like a kind of superpower, if you want to call it that, like just an ability to kill people really easily. I've had Desperado on the mind recently because I used it in a video. I've used clips from it in a couple of different videos now. And, you know, Antonio Banderas in that film, he's out for vengeance, and he's really good at killing people. He's got a bunch of guns, and he probably kills like 30 or 40 people in that movie. Just like an insane amount of death and carnage. And so killing people for him is super easy, both emotionally and you know, mechanically, the mechanics of it. And that tends to be kind of a constant throughout a lot of different films, especially when things like revenge and vengeance are involved. Horror movies are the exact same thing too. Like, one of the reasons why the Scream movies were kind of interesting is because it was difficult for those people to die, right? Like, you can see all of the memes out there and the gifs of Ghostface getting the shit beat out of him because people kept throwing beer bottles at him and punching him in the face with phones and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, it kind of showed that killing people is kind of hard. If you think back to the very first kill in Scream, what's her face, the actress Drew Barrymore, she takes some damage before she goes down. She is no I can't remember what the proper term for it is, but she is no shrinking violet, as it were. Like, she fights to live, and she almost gets there. She almost wins. So Blue Ruin to me is kind of doing it from the other side of it, where it's like, this is a person who's vengeance, who's trying to get revenge for something. He's decided that he's going to kill people, and it's difficult, really difficult. And I think that is rare. And the movie is good beyond that, but I think that is what makes it really interesting. Blue Ruin and all the Jeremy Saulner's Idiot trilogy are great. Yeah, so that would be what? Blue Ruin, Green Room, and that movie that they did for Netflix that I saw at TIFF that I now forget the name of. TJ, please watch a documentary called For Love. Indigenous people of Canada share heartbreaking stories that reveal injustices inflicted by the country's child welfare system. I mean, yeah, I should watch that. Let me just add it to the old Letterboxd watch list. But yeah, it's fucked. Canada's fucked. Canada's a bad place, guys. We do bad things to Indigenous people here. Oh wait, I don't think that's the one. Nope, that's not the one either. Turns out that For Love is not a great name for a movie. I'm not seeing it on Letterboxd, actually. There's one... Oh wait, is that it? The Syrian documentary... Okay, found it. It's listed as a 2022 movie, and apparently Shania Twain is in the cast? The hell? That's weird. But yeah, Canada's bad for treating Indigenous people. Really, really bad at it. I saw a film recently called Rosie that looks at this a little bit, and I mean they get into it more, but it talks about, you know, Indigenous people being taken from families, being redistributed through the adoption services and shit like that. Then there was a cat who has nothing to do with this conversation, but there is a cat and he wanted attention, so here he is. Now you're just punching me in the face. Oh, all right, there. Now you're a baby. Yeah. Yeah, there was the adoption thing I just talked about. There's also the residential school system, which was super fucked. A lot of kids died during that. Absolutely shouldn't have. They were experimented on by the Catholic Church, who were administrating these churches. Like, it's all just bad. Canada has a really bad history when it comes to treating Indigenous people with any modicum of respect, and it's always good for white Canadians like me, the colonizers, to remember that I'm able to sit here in my nice little apartment in downtown Toronto and live the life I do, because so many Indigenous people were killed and stolen and forced off of their land. And so, you know, the least that you can do, or the least that people like me can do, is find those stories and see those stories. and at least try to understand, or at least try to come to terms with the amount of damage that was caused so that people like me could have a good life. And I'm sure that's true of any person who, has a decent life because of colonization. So if you live in Australia or, the United States, it's also something to think about. New Zealand. Basically any place where there's white people when there probably shouldn't be. Which do you prefer, Sixth Sense or Unbreakable? Sixth Sense. I prefer that film. Amazing Maurice was in Sundance 2023. I see. Way to go supporting libraries. Yeah, libraries are dope. I love libraries. Air Bud as favorite sports films. Not bad. In other countries what? Invictus is my favorite sports film. Oh, yeah. The Morgan Freeman, Matt Damon one about rugby. Yeah, that was not bad. The best thing on Netflix this year is Copenhagen Cowboy from Nicholas Winding Refn, director of Drive and Only God Forgives. Yeah, I need to check that out. I mean, I'll have to get it from the library now that I don't have Netflix, but I do want to check that out. He's a pretty cool director sometimes. Favorite movie set in Vegas? Snake Eyes? I mean, it's not my favorite movie set in Vegas, but I think it's Snake Eyes, right? That sort of Nicolas Cage boxing movie where he's like not a detective, but someone who works for a casino, and there's like something happening in the casino during a boxing match, and he's got to figure out what it is. I remember that movie being kind of cool. I mean, it's also like Nicolas Cage in the late 90s, early 2000s, so you can imagine how MTV it looks, but man, I remember it being fun. Any casinos in Toronto? Our illustrious premier tried and failed with that, and now we're getting a spa instead. What a fucking joke. But no, there are no proper casinos in Toronto. They're mostly casinos are mostly on Indigenous land in and around, around Toronto. But we might, who knows? We might get one day. Toronto is declining at such a rate that we may get a casino soon. I don't want to live in this city anymore, guys. I'm going to be honest with you on that. It's kind of turning to shit. And it's mostly thanks to conservative politicians. Shout out to you, you absolute fucks. La La Land just dropped on American Netflix, which is sweet. Nice. Although Minions 2 released the same day, so yeah, Netflix sucks. It's all a balance, right? Murder Party is the first Idiot Trilogy movie. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I haven't seen Murder Party. I have a question. What is your favorite movie about Hollywood and or movies? Mine will be Mulholland Drive. I mean, right now, recency bias being what it is probably Babylon. I also, see, this is the thing. Before this, I might have said something like Singing in the Rain, but after seeing Singing in the Rain recontextualized in the way that Babylon does, I'm not as hot on it anymore. But I always thought that Singing in the Rain was a really cool movie because I love movies that sort of look at that moment in cinema history where we moved from silent cinema to sound cinema. I think that's a fascinating point in cinema history. I haven't seen it in full, but I've heard that The Player is very good. It's a Robert Altman film that's basically about, how Hollywood worked in the late 80s, I think, early 90s, and I think that would be pretty fascinating to watch. And obviously Mulholland Drive is incredible, but I need to rewatch Mulholland Drive. I've only seen one 2023 movie. I haven't seen that many yet either, honestly, so don't worry about that. Like, honestly, there aren't a lot of 2023 movies worth seeing out, right? Like, let me just see here. No, my films letterbox. Show me my films. So I've seen 3 2023 films. I thought that I thought The Point Men. So I saw a Korean film today called The Point Men. It's a movie. I thought it was going to be a 2022 film that had released in Korea in 2022, but I guess not. See, I've only seen 3 films from 2023 so far, so don't worry about it. Like we're not really at that time yet where you should be or could be watching a lot of good 2023 films. I think it is great how Indigenous filmmakers and writers are on the rise. Yeah. In Canada, that's largely due to a lot of different funds being set up. There's a lot of money being made available for Indigenous filmmakers, and we also have programs like Wakaponi, which is super cool. that goes around to different like reservations and indigenous communities and actually like starts teaching kids how to make movies. So it's instilling that love for filmmaking at a very young age. And you can even see some of their short films starting to pop up in film festivals. And they have been for years now, but you're starting to see it more and more. So overall, like, it's great. It's a great thing to see. Rocco's been fine. He's now sulking in the corner. I don't know why. Maybe he's not getting as much attention as he wants. When does the new Evil Dead come out? This year? Evil Dead Rise. When does it come out? It's 2 hours long. I know that about it now. It's debuting at South by Southwest in March, and it will have its proper release April 21st. I'm probably going to go see that. Casino is my favorite Vegas movie. Oh, yeah, I always forget about Casino. TJ, I'm curious about your decision to get rid of all streaming services. Sure, movies you can see in theaters, but what about good TV shows like Succession and The Last of Us? Okay, sorry. I'm getting rid of all of the streaming services that I personally pay for. So my parents have the streaming service in Canada. They don't have this, but they have traditional television, and so their use of it means that I can get access to the digital versions of some of those channels. And in Canada, we have something called Crave, which is basically HBO Max in Canada. Plus, like, it's also just like, it used to be called the Movie Network, and then they rebranded it to Crave, and then they started adding more and more HBO stuff on it. So it's kind of like a combination between a cable network, a premium cable network that is solely concerned with movies, also just getting like exclusively all the HBO content in Canada. So it's almost like a leveled up, better version of HBO Now or HBO Max, whatever it's called. So like, yeah, I can watch HBO stuff like Succession on that. So I guess I haven't gotten rid of all of them. I've just gotten rid of the ones that I pay for, like Apple TV Plus, Disney, Netflix, those ones. I bought MoviePass 3 movies for $20 per month. That's not bad. Sunset Boulevard. Oh, as a film about movies? Yeah, that's a really good pick too. That's it. I'm moving to Canada. The player features 40 cameos. Does it really? I didn't realize it got that got that into it. That's cool. I saw Elvis finally. I couldn't believe how bad Tom Hanks was. Yeah. I mean, it's all we were talking about. In when Elvis came out. I mean, I think that's what most people were talking about. Like, we all couldn't really believe that Tom Hanks did that, and that Baz Luhrmann allowed him to do that. But yeah, it's not a great movie. It's not a good performance. The movie itself is kind of okay, although it does really breeze past the fact that Elvis like married someone who was like basically 14 years old. The Player is incredible. Yeah, I should really watch The Player. My mom watched Elvis as well today. What'd they think? Plane is worth seeing. Infinity Pool as well. Yep, I like both those movies. I'd recommend them. Plane is like, it's an action movie. It's a pretty okay action movie. I do like the way that it's paced. It's great. It's really good at how it paces out its action. Nothing really happens for like the first half an hour, but it's a lot of like nice subtle build up and a lot of stuff that eventually gets paid off. It's cool. Like, it's a film that's as good. It has no right being as good as it actually is. Austin Butler was really great though. He's fine. He's fine. He does okay. I just don't want that movie to win anything at the Oscars, so I'm being unjustly terrible towards it. And since I just mentioned the Oscars, now would be a great time for you to go fill out your ballot for the Cinemateq nominations, Cinemateq Film Award nominations. That will be open for only one more week. So on the live stream next week, I am going to be closing the nominations. So get your nominations in. You only have 1 week left. And also, I just remembered one thing that I wanted to do during this live stream as well. I will still be able to talk while I set this thing up. But for those of you who don't know, I am ending the Frame series on TikTok. And I'm ending it with episode 300, which is the only episode that I've yet to release. And unfortunately, over the last few days, because of just like work and doing other things, I have forgotten to post it. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I post it during this live stream? And then we can say goodbye to Framed all together now. So I just need to find it. Where is it? Where did it go? It's probably in here. Man, how long ago did I even export this thing? 7 days. Oh my God, it's been like 4 days since I could have released this thing. Just got to double check and make sure. Yep. Yeah, that's the right one. All right. Let's get ready to release that TikTok, everybody. TikTok content. Wait, what? What is this shit? Oh, no. Uploads for TikTok. There we go. Delete all that. And there. Okay. Framed is bittersweet goodbye. Yeah, I know Framed is a series that I'm always going to hold dear to my heart because, you know, I was able to do a lot with it. Wait, 2 new voicemails. Did I get called twice? No, I don't think so. Let me just double check something. Did I get 2 calls? Oh, I did get 2 calls. That's weird. I'm just gonna put this on a little bit of a break, but I'll be right back. Don't you go away.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back, Dan.
Richard, do you mind to step aside and let's talk? I'll be back in just a second.
I'll be right back. Don't get dressed.
I gotta leave this room. I'll be right back.
No! Don't you leave me here, you
I'm coming right back. I give you my word.
Be right back with a search warrant.
There, I will be right back.
I gotta see this.
Was it something I said?
How about the words, I'll be right back?
I'll be right back. Leave her running.
What?
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. You understand?
Hey, buddy.
And we're back. Sorry. I just saw a couple of phone calls from people, and whenever I see like double phone calls within a short period of time, my mind always goes to, oh, someone died. So I better check my messages. But nope. Everything's fine. Everything's good. So yeah, now I'm just gonna get this Framed thing set up on my phone while I continue talking about Framed. So as a content series, it opened a lot of doors for me, and it probably introduced a lot of you, or at least some of you, to me. It allowed me to build up a fairly substantial following on TikTok, which I can no longer really use because I just know that TikTok is going to get banned in the United States, and that's where all of my followers are from. Plus, TikTok is a really shitty platform altogether. For those of you who don't know, it's like you don't get paid for anything on there unless you get sponsorships, and for that reason, I just think it's terrible. From a worker perspective, fuck that place. It sucks. I hate it a lot. And then throw on top of it the fact that it's run by the Chinese government, who I'm not a big fan of, and potential data security issues and things like this. It's just not really a platform that I'm comfortable continuing to post on a lot. Unfortunately, with the way that the internet is, I will likely have to continue using it, but in very, very sparsely. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be posting, or that I shouldn't post the very last of these videos. So that's what I'm going to do right now. That's what I'm looking down at. Gonna put the captions on here. I also feel bad about this because this solve was from like so many days ago. Like I guess it was the 27th when I exported it, but I don't even know like from what day this actually is. So let's do it. Solving Framed part 300. Look, everyone, I'm doing a TikTok. Pretty crazy, right? The end. Hashtag the end. My beautiful friends, the end. Yeah, why not? Hashtag buy. How dramatic can I be with hashtags? Let's find out. Solving framed. And let's do that as a cover. Part 300. Stretch it out a little bit. Boom. And, ooh, no, that's not what I wanted. Yep, bye, thank you. And there you go. A TikTok that is fully formed and ready to go, and RIP framed. Who's that? Hey, this person's great. For those of you who don't know and you use TikTok, please look up the TikTok account Hyperreal Film Club. Wait, did it change their name? I thought it was Hyperreal Film Society. Anyways, Hyperreal Film Club, run by this person. I don't actually know her name, but I think I follow her on Letterboxd now. She has great film takes and will lead you to all kinds of wonderful, wonderful films. So I encourage you to follow Hyperreal Film Club. Anyways, back to the chat and what you guys are up to. By the way, I'm only going to be on for about another 29 or so minutes. Because, of course, I have to watch wrestling at 8 o'clock. And eat carrots. I have a lot of carrots to eat today. So, Nocturno, you already voted in the Cinemateq nomination ballot. Good. For those of you who haven't, please do. Even the Kid from the Sun moved to Toronto, so it can't be that bad. Ugh, guys, Toronto... I don't want to get off on a rant on Toronto, but it's basically being run by old conservatives. And our province is being run by old conservatives. Healthcare is being privatized right under our feet. Everything's turned into shit. Violence in the city is increasing, or at least the reporting on it is going up. No one feels safe anymore. Whether or not it's because of the reporting or because it's actually true is a whole other matter. Nothing is really being done about the issues that we face because once again we're being run by old white conservatives who don't want to raise taxes on anybody and who think that it's totally fine to like put more money into the police budget but say fuck you to libraries and pretty much every other city service. Yeah. The province has decided that one of our largest parks should be turned into a fucking parking garage and a spa so that the rich can go there and get pedicures like while they look at Lake Ontario. Like this is the shit that's happening, you know? We have no beds for homeless people. We have encampments are getting torn down. There's no money for anything when it comes to mental health or even for healthcare, just regular old healthcare, and no one's doing anything because they're terrified of pissing off their conservative bases. And once again, as conservatives, they are mostly concerned with transferring wealth from the poor to the wealthy so that the wealthy can just enrich themselves. Our fucking premier is so corrupt, so fucking corrupt, but no one can do anything about it. Because the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, fall under his jurisdiction. Are they going to investigate their own boss and do a good job of it? I fucking wonder. It's just... If you're going to move somewhere in Canada, go to Montreal. And even that has its problems because they're trying to kind of get rid of English-speaking people in Montreal. But, like, if I had the choice, I would go to Montreal. Vancouver's too expensive. Montreal is still kind of affordable. But you would need to speak French to earn a living there. Unless you're a content creator like me, in which case it wouldn't matter. Hey, maybe I should move to Montreal. Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi should be Oscar presenters or hosts along with Penn and Teller. Yep, I agree. I've seen Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi do a thing together at a comic convention, which was pretty fun. So I agree with that. Why would Baz hate Tom Hanks? I don't know. Does he? Are you going to see the new Nick Cage movie with him as a vampire? Of course I'm going to go see that. I've heard Elvis defenders say that Tom Hanks' performance was accurate to how Elvis' manager was, but I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it was. I don't know. It's still just bad. I saw Puss in Boots: The Last Witch last week, and my friend and I were surprised how good it was. Yeah, it's very, very good. Reminded me of Afterlife movies like Defending Your Life. Oh, interesting. Love the WOPO review of Elvis. A hallucinatory experience akin to being thrown into a washing machine and mercilessly churned for 2.5 hours. That's actually pretty good. I like that. Wordle and Framed have faded for me. Haven't played them in over a week now. Never thought I'd stop. I still play Framed and Flickle every day. And honestly, I probably will do a Framed episode if like frame 1 comes up and I know that it's Tombstone, because I know a lot of people who follow me on TikTok will want to see that. But I think I'm probably still gonna play Framed and Flickle every day. It's just a nice way to start the morning, you know, waiting for the hot water to boil for your tea, so you play some Framed. Like, it's not a bad way to start off. Do you think you'll ever go back to doing Framed content when you feel like it? No, I don't think so. Because it doesn't really make sense for me to put that content on a YouTube, because YouTube, you're supposed to stay like hyper niche specific, and you know, Framed content on this YouTube channel doesn't make any sense because it's too far removed from the content I'm making now. So I mean, yeah. But once again, that content focus may shift at some point if I feel like I'm not getting enough out of the current stuff. Although I will say, even after like the initial boom of that one video, the Puss in Boots 2 video, the views themselves are still about 10 times higher than what they were on average, you know, than 2 weeks ago. So I don't mind that. It's not enough to live off of, certainly, but it's a step in the right direction. Framed is how I discovered your channel, but I stayed for the amazing content, streams, and community. RIP Frame series. Glad to have you here, Eli. Of the I'll Be Right Back montage, which of the clips is your favorite? I like the one from Silence of the Lambs. Oh man. Which one do I like the best out of there? I kind of like the clip from the James Bond movie where there's like a gap in between, like there's like a channel change, and then when you change the channel back, then James Bond gets slapped in the face, I think. I do like that. I wouldn't say that's my favorite movie out of them all. Just saw that James Mangold is in talks to direct Swamp Thing movie for DC. That'd be cool. Just for my own re-edification. Who the F is James Mangold? Is what I always say to myself when I see that a director is attached to do something. So this is the director of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the new one. Ford versus Ferrari, which is pretty good. Logan, which is pretty good. The Wolverine, which is not bad. Night and Day, not great, I think. I can't really remember. 310 to Yuma, Walk the Line, Identity. Identity's a good one. Okay, yeah, so this would be cool. I'd be okay with this. Judi Dench, what's up, Don? Also, I love the Doors song in Puss in Boots. Oh, which one did they use? Was it This Is the End? That would make sense. TJ, who are you rooting for, Chiefs or Eagles? I'm going to go for the Eagles. I don't know. I have friends that live in Philadelphia, and I don't really have, like, I should cheer for the Bills for everything because Buffalo's the closest team to me. But I've never really felt a connection to the Buffalo Bills or Buffalo in general, whereas I feel like I have a bit more of a connection to Philly, so I'm debating if, like, the Eagles should become my team. And they look really good. They look like a really good team. And it looks like Patrick Mahomes is going to become, like, the second coming of Brady, so obviously I must hate him forever. Always, the Chiefs will always be the villains in my mind. Let's see here. Jamie Lee Curtis says that abandoned department stores should be turned into homeless shelters, and I agree. You know what? I think this is a great time for me to just talk about a band. And I don't normally talk about music on this channel, but I'm going to tell you about a band named Chat Pile. And they are a metal band, but not metal in like the death metal way that you're thinking. They're more of a metal band in like a what if Nirvana's first album was a little bit heavier and produced by the guy who did the first couple of Korn albums kind of way. They're a bit sludgy, you could say. They're a bit sludgy. And they have a song, I'm just going to put the lyrics up here, called Why, which asks some interesting questions. And I'll just read through this because I'm not going to play the song, but this song is about the unhoused. And essentially, why do they have to live outside? So I'll just do a quick little read through on some of this. Why do people have to live outside? In the brutal heat or when it's below freezing? There are people that are made to live outside. Why? Why do people have to live outside when there are buildings all around us with heat on and no one inside? Why? And then, why do people have to live outside? Why do people have to live outside, in tents, under bridges, living with nothing and horribly suffering? Why? Why do people have to live outside? We have the resources. We have the means. Why? You get the general tenor of this song. And then when you're actually listening to the song, it gets really heavy around like this part right here, where the lead singer declares, "I've never had to push all my shit around in a shopping cart. Have you? Have you ever had ringworm? Scabies? Have you ever had to live outside? I don't want to live outside. So why do we make people live outside?" And then goes on to end the song by saying it's a horror story, a real American horror story. It's a fucking tragedy, a fucking tragedy. And this is probably one of the most affecting songs. There are a couple of like really incredible songs on this album. This is one of them. And I think this is the one that will, if you ever do listen to this record, which is by the band Chat Pile, as I said. And it's called, what is the record called? I forget, actually. I listen to it all the time and I have no idea. God's Country. God's Country. Here it is. If you ever listen to it, this one, the first song, Slaughterhouse, and the last song, grimace_smoking_weed.jpg, are incredible songs. And yeah. But no, it's a good question. Why do people have to live outside? Why? TJ, I live in Montreal. Highly recommend. Yeah, Montreal's cool. Montreal's cool. I have family that lives there. I have friends that live there. I should go to Montreal. Honestly, Puss in Boots deserves the Oscar. I don't necessarily disagree, although I think Pinocchio is going to win because it is the degree of difficulty is much higher for it, and I think it's going to end up winning the Oscar because of the craft on hand. You know, Aubrey Plaza would be amazing as an Oscar host. Yeah, I'd be down with that. Although I wonder if she would be a bit too sarcastic. Like I've talked about this before. I think my ideal Oscars are a type of celebration of cinema where by the end of it, you immediately want to go see a movie, right? And I think both with Aubrey Plaza or with the host that we are getting, Jimmy Kimmel, it's just going to be super fucking sarcastic and everyone's going to be taking pot shots at each other. Everyone's going to try to do the Ricky Gervais thing instead of just celebrating the movies, you know? So, yeah, that was, that's my little piece on that. Although Aubrey Plaza did do a really good job of hosting the Independent Spirit Awards when she did that a couple of years ago. So I guess if I had a choice between Jimmy Kimmel and Aubrey Plaza, I'd take Aubrey Plaza every day. Although I think her stature as a star has grown to the point where she would no longer do it as a career move because it's too potentially damaging for her. Yeah. The fact that I didn't see a character, I saw Tom Hanks doing an extremely distracting accent, that's not good. Fair enough. I can't believe the Frame episode Americans with George Clooney stumped you. Man, I have not seen that film. I cycled through every single spy movie I can think of that had George Clooney in it, and I had not seen The Americans, or whatever it's called. Yeah, so that got me. Just finished my design illustrator, and I'll be refinishing the design when I want to. Nice. I don't recommend Montreal. It's got the highest amount of police per capita in Canada, plus there are a lot of xenophobic and anti-Semitic people there. God damn it. Where are we supposed to go to escape these things? Where is the goddamn paradise I was promised that has no cops and everyone's fucking cool? Maybe I'll just go to Hamilton. I found a really nice place in Hamilton, actually. No way I can afford it, but it's a really cool house, and it's kind of near downtown. Do you guys want to see the house that I found in Hamilton, if it's still on the market? Hamilton. It's like it's really nice. It's like exceptionally nice. Like it's a new build. I don't know. I think probably maybe one person has lived there. God, where was it? It was over here. It was near downtown. Is it this one? No, that place probably shouldn't be worth 800,000 God damn, this real estate market can go fuck itself. Am I going to be able to find this place? 800. No, that's not it. God, it might be off the market already. I hate the real estate market, man. Get out of here with this bullshit. No, it's this is going to bother me if I can't remember like where actually in the city it is. It was around here, wasn't it? John Street, kind of? It's not that one. This is like probably really, really enthralling for you guys while I'm looking at stuff. It's not this place. This is what we're doing on Cinemateq now. We're looking at places that I can't afford. That no one really can afford. I couldn't even afford this place for $500K. Nope, and that's just an apartment. Where? Wellington. It was 900,000. Where the hell is it? It can't be gone already, can it? My favorite house ever in a Hamilton is just gone? Up to... Yeah, it must already be off the market. My God, that only took like 2 or 3 days. Fuck that. That sucks. Wait, that's not it, is it? No. No. I don't know what we're doing here anymore. All right, enough of that. It was a really nice place, though. I'm not surprised it went quickly. I can't believe... Oh, yeah. Just finished... Oh, yeah. Did they remove my comment? What was your comment? Just hire Ricky Gervais. We don't want a bootleg version of him. No. I'm fine with Ricky Gervais not doing it anymore. He'll probably just say something transphobic, honestly. And no one wants that. Also, the Asian food in Montreal is really bad. Well, fuck that. If I can't go somewhere to get good vegan Chinese food, then I don't want to live there. I've actually heard that Edmonton has really good vegan food, so maybe I'll go to Edmonton, even though I definitely would never go to Edmonton. It's way too goddamn cold. What the heck were those words to that song? Just some truths about the unhoused and how we could very easily put a lot of unhoused people in, say, office buildings when those office buildings are not being used for the 8 hours when they're supposed to be open, and like keep the unhoused from dying in the cold. You know, that seems like something that we could do pretty easily. Or like, you know, during the pandemic when no one was at their offices for a long time, seems like we probably could have struck a deal with a corporation to like use part of their lobby space to help house the unhoused. That seems like it could have been a really cool thing that we just didn't explore, because I guess we can't do anything with corporations except give them money and expect nothing in return. Ugh. I will always campaign for the Muppets hosting the Oscars. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'd be down with that. Hugh Jackman's Oscar musical opening is perhaps the best celebration of cinema I've ever seen from the Academy Awards. I should go back and rewatch that. Maybe we just get Hugh Jackman to do the Oscars again. This is all talk about movies, about the magic movies, but they aren't mentioning us. Who's not? Wait, they're not mentioning. Like, what do you mean mentioning us? Who are they not mentioning? You mean like us, like this community? I don't understand. So yeah, have you seen my short film yet? I'm sorry, Panda, I have not. I'm gonna. Okay, I feel bad about this because I know you've been asking me. And I should have seen it. Presentations. The Silent Prisoner short film. I'm going to bookmark this to watch it. Can I do that here? Watch later. Okay. Hamilton, Ontario is 60 minutes away from TIFF. That's too far. But Dory, you are forgetting that other places have movie theaters. So Hamilton has a couple of independent theaters that are actually not that bad. They also have a non-Cineplex multiplex in downtown called Landmark, which would be nice to escape the tyranny of Cineplex. But what I would do, like if I moved to Hamilton and I was still a content creator, I would just like pick a day and like take the GO train into Toronto. It would only take me like an hour or so to commute in. Like right now, I walk 40 minutes to go to TIFF, so it wouldn't even be that much of a difference. And the place that I was looking at in downtown Hamilton would allow me to get to that GO station pretty quickly. So like it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It wouldn't be that big of a change. The concern is that I wouldn't be able to, like if I moved to Hamilton right now, where do I get a job in Hamilton? There's nothing for me there. I'd be commuting back to the city the whole time. Excuse me. When I say the city, I mean Toronto. I should not assume that Toronto is the only city when there are in fact several cities that you could live in. I've also heard really good things about Kitchener, and I have a few friends who live there, so that's on my maybe list for if I ever leave the city or can't afford to leave the city. I was referring to if Penn and Teller were to host the Oscars and make a joke about magic. Oh, right. Gotcha. TJ, if you won $500 million in a lottery ticket, but the condition was to direct a film, who would be your two leads, script writer, cinematographer, and score person? Okay, some of these are really easy. Cinematographer would either be Roger Deakins or Claire Mathon. Whichever one was available, I take that. If I can choose, if I just get whichever one I want, it would be Roger Deakins. Score person would likely be... You know, I really like the person who put the score together for Infinity Pool, so I'm going to say Tim Hecker, fellow Canadian. What up? Script writer... I guess it depends on what kind of story I would want to tell, right? My two leads... No, not Neil Breen. No. My two leads, one of them would be Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And the other would be... Who would work well with Jeffrey Dean Morgan? Who would be a good either foil or companion for Jeffrey Dean Morgan? My immediate inclination is Florence Pugh, just because I would really want to work with Florence Pugh, but I don't know... Lauren Cohen, am I right? Getting enough of that in Dead City, thank you very much, which I don't even know if it started yet. But I mean, I wouldn't mind working with Lauren Cohen, but that's mostly because I have a big crush on her. God, who else? Jeffrey Dean Morgan and... Who has been blowing my mind with performances? Oh, Emma Mackey, probably. Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Emma Mackey. I think I would want to work with them. I think that would be pretty fun. And then who else? What did you ask for? Oh, yeah, scriptwriter. Likely with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Emma Mackey. I feel like we probably want to have that movie set in, like, the Old West. So who would be a good writer for a Western? What are the big Westerns that have come out recently? Who wrote, did Jane Campion write Power of the Dog? Also, imagine Roger Deakins doing a Western. That'd be pretty sick. Who wrote it? Who wrote it? Tell me who the writer is. Oh, screenplay. Okay, so Jane Campion. So if Jane Campion wants to write me a screenplay, then her. Tarantino, I wouldn't want to direct a Tarantino film. That he can direct his own stuff. Thoughts on the Andrea Riseborough situation? I have yet to see Leslie, but I'm glad they didn't rescind her nomination. I don't think there is a way that they could have done that and not have it be an absolute shitstorm, right? Unless literal rules were broken in such an egregious way, I don't think that they would have done it. And even then, if rules were broken in an egregious way, I think they probably would say, like, okay, we're just never going to let this happen again, but we're going to let her nomination stand. And I think, I don't know, what are my thoughts on it? Like, it's a really interesting and novel way to approach campaigning for an Oscar, and it obviously worked. And now I think a lot of indie films are going to be looking at that and saying to themselves, hey, maybe this is a way that we can approach this in the future. So, I don't know. I think it is. I mean, I'm glad that we got a surprise. I'm just kind of pissed that it came at the expense of Viola Davis and Daniel Deadwyler. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. It's just a weird situation, and I don't really know how I feel about it. I'm kind of just blah on it for the most part. I'm going to try this one last time, but imagine this and hear me out. We start out the Oscars with no host, no monologue, no awards, no politics. Instead, we just bust open a Natu Natu celebration with proper cast, authentic melodies, and 0 celeb cameos. Just imagine how epic that would be. I mean, there's no way you get away with the 0 celeb cameos, but I agree. It would be a pretty fun way to start it off. But, like, the best thing about a Natu Natu thing at the Oscars is going to be when random people from the audience get on stage and start doing it. And if that can be unscripted, that would be great. Like Laura Dern. Just getting out from the audience and being like, all right, it's time to show all these motherfuckers what Laura Dern's all about. And then she just does the endurance part of Natu Natu. I think that would be great. My two leads, Brian Tyree Henry and Ayler Taylor Johnson. You've already got that in Bullet Train. Roger Deakins did No Country for Old Men. I mean, I know it's a Western, but I don't really consider it a Western. I'm talking about like an old Western, like it's the 1800s, frontier type shit. Isn't Tarantino retired? No, he's got one movie left. He's going to do one more movie before he retires. Movie number 10. The Harder They Fall with Jonathan Majors was amazing. I wasn't a huge fan of The Harder They Fall, but I really love the set design in it. You very rarely see a Western that is bright and colorful. And like, I think where they set that film was meant to be kind of like a brand new town, one that hadn't had the opportunity to fall into disrepair. So like all of the colors on the on the buildings were bright and vibrant, multiple different colors, just like really bright reds and greens and yellows, and just really cool to see that, because pretty much every Western I've ever seen, it's a town in disrepair, or it's a town that's fallen on hard times. Like you very rarely ever see a brand new town, and even when you do, it's always a bit more muted. The colors that are used are usually like those deeper greens and deeper browns and deeper reds, auburns, let's say. But yeah, in The Harder They Fall, it was just like a big color explosion. It was really cool to see. Never seen that in a film before, a Western film at least. If Penn and Teller were to present a particular category, which one would you want to see them present? Same with Campbell and Ted Raimi. Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi should probably do Best Visual Effects. And Penn and Teller should probably also do Best Visual Effects. Although I think with Penn and Teller, they might be able to present one of the short categories and make a short joke and have that work. That could happen. Tarantino has only done 9 films. I believe so. I think you need to count the Kill Bills as one film. But yeah, I think he has said that he is going to go out on his 10th film, and he hasn't made it yet. And he's basically just said that, like, hey, I think 10's a good number, and I haven't done that yet. I'm on number 9. And for a while, it looked like it was going to be a Star Trek movie. He was attached to do a Star Trek movie, but then that fell through. So I'm pretty sure. And this is going to be like kind of the last thing that I do, because I gotta... Wrestling's not going to watch itself, everyone. Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, you know that guy, Quentin Tarantino. He's got 2 children. What? Now there's something I want to see. What are his kids like? Filmography. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So if you count the Kill Bills as one film, which I think he does, he's only made 9 films. And so his next film will be the last film. TJ, Shutter Island twist shocked you, or was it predictable? It was one of those twists where as soon as I found out that there was a twist, like someone told me beforehand that there's a there was a trailer that was like, you won't see the twist coming. And then I thought about it for a second. And like when we got into the actual movie itself and I saw like what the movie was about, I was like, I know what the twist is. Just knowing that there was a shocking twist, I was able to figure out the twist like almost immediately. A lot of the middle is dedicated to the backstory. Wait for what? Glass Onion and Reservoir Dogs have a similar story structure. Yeah, it's actually not a bad point. How does he have a career that iconic with such a limited amount of film? Some directors are just able to do that. Sergio Leone did the exact same thing. He directed 10 to 12 films, and he's considered one of the greatest directors of all time. Stanley Kubrick as well did not direct that many films. And especially when he got later into his career, it would be years and years in between films. So in a lot of cases, it is all about quality and not quantity. But with that said, everybody, the quantity of this live stream has reached its zenith, its maximum, and I must sign off for yet another week. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out the description below and do all the things that are suggested down in there if you haven't already. And keep an eye out for a new video coming out tomorrow that is all dedicated to letterboxed reviews of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Some of them are racist. Who would have guessed? So check that out, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It comes out tomorrow. I'll be posting it in the Discord as well. And with that said, I will wish you all a very fond adieu, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend and that you watch a lot of really good movies. Until next time.
Get off my plane.
He's looking at you, kid.
I have been, and always shall be, your friend.
The Force will be with you, always.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Hasta la vista, baby.